In 2017, the Center for Responsive Politics launched a tool designed to make exploring documents filed under the Foreign Agents Registration Act easier and more reliable than the limited tools available from the Department of Justice. However, all of the information in those reports was still locked up in PDF images, limiting the possibilities for analysis. Until now. Today, we'll spend a few minutes walking through the additions and improvements to the new Foreign Lobby Watch section of OpenSecrets.org, which recenters the focus on the foreign interests that spend and make money influencing policy and opinion in the U.S. From the homepage, we get a snapshot of the different ways to look at foreign spending, including the top line numbers like the fact that over $500 million were spent during 2017 and early 2018. We also see here the top spending countries and foreign principals, that is, the groups that are actually spending this money. Let's start by looking at a country, and since they spent the most, let's take a look at South Korea. We get their total spending divided out so you can see how much was spent by the government versus companies, nonprofits, and individuals, and a comparison of the total spending by year. We also see the top few groups from this country that spent money. To see the full list, we'll choose the Foreign Principals tab up at the top. Looking at the full list of foreign principals, we get to see which organizations based in South Korea spent the most money, dominated by the government in this case. Then moving to registrants, we can see who those groups hired. Often they quote-unquote hire groups that are either arms of or directly related to the client or foreign principal. That's why you see more than just law firms and public relations firms here. The Trade Promotion Center and national tourism organizations, which are controlled by the government, turn out to be the main source of South Korean spending. It should be noted that a lot of the money we find in Fara is spent on promotion of tourism and encouraging investment and trade. So we can't assume all this money is lobbying in the traditional sense of trying to convince government officials to make certain policy decisions, though that type of activity is also common and included here. Lastly, our power users can get into the actual documents. Since we have just taken one piece out of the reports to show you the money, there is still lots of other information that a reporter, for instance, can get by looking through the filings, including more information on lobbyists, issues and contacts or meetings with government officials, and details of advertisements and correspondence. Now we're looking at top registrants, which are often referred to as foreign agents. These are the groups that get hired to do the work here in the US. Here again, we get the rankings allowing us to see who brought in the most money trying to influence on behalf of foreign interests. Let's check out Akin Gump, a law firm that is a big player both as a representative of foreign clients and in the Lobbying Disclosure Act world, which is largely, though not completely, concerned with domestic organizations. Again, the summary page is giving us a snapshot of how much they made from Fara-related work and who their big clients are. In this case, it's the UAE, which was involved in an ongoing embargo of Qatar last year that also included Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and others. In 2017, it was the government of British Columbia, Canada, that was their biggest client. Moving through, we can see all the other countries they represented and the specific foreign principals from those countries. Clicking on any of these names or countries will take us over to a profile that shows more information about their activity. Without additional data entry, the lobbyist information we have is limited to new filings, either when they get a new client or if they're entirely new to Fara. We also don't yet have data linking lobbyists to the foreign principal clients they worked on behalf of, but we do know which registrants they worked for, and here we provide a link to the domestic lobbying data when we found a matching person. So that is what a foreign agent hired to do work in the US looks like. Now we arrive at the actual groups spending money on influence. As we add just a couple more years, this should show an uptick in the number of filers since 2016. The number of new registrations has increased sharply, and recent reporting indicates law firms are seeing an uptick in inquiries about Fara compliance too. We mentioned earlier the Qatar blockade, so let's take a look at who they are paying to work in the US. They spent almost $13 million last year and already have a few million in the first part of 2018. We can also see that they spread the money around to quite a few firms. Throughout this section, you'll see these question marks in a few places near key terms and concepts. These will link you back to our background page where we explain in more detail the ins and outs of how the Fara universe works, including details about the law, its history, advisory opinions, as well as how we collected this data. We started this project with a robust search tool that remains an excellent way to dig into your Fara research. All of the available document images stretching back to 1938 are searchable, and we provide full text search of them. You can use one of these boxes or combine them to limit your results to a certain time period or country as well. For example, searching weapons and Saudi Arabia turns up a number of documents and shows a bit of context for your keywords. We also maintain a page of the latest documents, updated several times a day, that shows the documents that have been filed recently. So come back frequently to see what's new. Another reason to return frequently is that we have a number of improvements planned. We will be both keeping up with entering newly filed reports, as well as working our way backward to allow comparisons across a longer stretch of years. We will also be mashing up the Lobbying Disclosure Act data with this data set, since many foreign companies take advantage of the option to file under that less rigorous system and bypass Fara altogether. Linking these two up in one place will give a more complete view of both government and corporate spending coming from a country, or at least as complete as the disclosures allow. In addition, we'll be adding ways to break spending down by industry, providing downloads of select data, and doing research and reporting on the data. All of this is aimed at making the Foreign Agent Registration Act filings more transparent, accessible, and understandable to journalists, scholars, and the public at large.